What's going on, folks? Welcome back to today's video. Now today I'm going to be breaking down our 2020 through 2021 deer season for you. So all the deer that myself, my dad, and my sisters harvested with gun and bow and crossbow. We'll break it all down today. So stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. So yeah, 2020 through 2021. So we had myself, my dad, and all three of my sisters hunting. They hunted with a rifle. My dad hunted with a bow, and I hunted with a crossbow and an atlatl. Now, if you don't know what that is, I have a bunch of videos about it. Go check it out in the description below. But basically, it's basically a 7-foot spear that I've been hunting with this year. So lots of stories about that this year. Some super close encounters. But on the whole, this year, like I said, myself, my dad, and my sisters harvested a total of 11 deer. Now that may seem like a lot, but I mean, we eat venison like 2 to 3 times per week. So we're going through it. It's all in the freezers right now. We cleaned it all ourselves, butchered it all ourselves, and now it's in jerky or taco meat or whatever. So that's what we do with all the deer. We harvest all of it, and we love to eat venison. Super healthy, and it tastes great too. So yeah, let's just start off. Bow season started September 15th. My dad and I were super excited. We had been scouting a little bit in the off season. We only hunt this one property for archery, at least, so it's not really that big. So we did some trail cam scouting, got some nice pictures of bucks, but we were more focused on just does at that point, because the property is so small that your best likelihood of a buck, unless he's living on that piece of property coming in, was during the rounds. We were trying to shoot some does at that point. We were excited. Now, in the second week of season, I believe, I had not harvested anything by then, but my dad harvested 2 or 3 does, I think, with a crossbow and his bow. So he was doing good, and so he harvested those right off the bat. And then I was hunting with my atlatl. I believe it was opening weekend, or I think opening day was on like a Tuesday or something, so we had to wait all week. Then that weekend, we went out, and we had some pictures of does showing up consistently daytime under my atlatl stand, which I was just looking to take any deer with an atlatl, because, you know, obviously it's super hard and challenging. So yeah, I was just looking to take any deer, and some does actually showed up September. It was probably September 20th or something. You know, it's super hot in the woods. They can smell you, but they showed up, and they were kind of skittish. They knew something was wrong, but it was early in the season. They came close, and we looked back in the film, and I hit a stick. I'll roll the clip here. But yeah, basically, as you can see in that video, I hit a stick, and it kind of directed it off course. I don't know if I would have hit it, but she was so alert that she flinched pretty hard. That's what I noticed basically throughout the whole season. That there's so much motion involved with the throwing. It basically they flinched because they know something's up. So that happened. That stunk. I missed. So that was not fun. And then basically the rest of our September was pretty quiet. I believe my dad harvested 1 or 2 more does with his bow, and I went back out to the same stand with the atlatl and had similar encounters. And I shot at threw at a second deer. Actually, it was kind of a funky shot. Basically, it hit that same stick again. So we finally cut that stick down, but then we never got a chance back in September. So that was September. A couple does harvested, 1 really close encounter with the atlatl, but no bucks so far. So yeah, that was September of deer season. And then October rolls around, and we've kind of noticed on our property that like October can get pretty slow. Like people talk about like the October lull. It's just they just don't really move. It's before the rut. They're trying to conserve energy, and then it's not warm enough, you know, for them to eat. So typically been pretty slow. But on October 1st, my dad was sitting over some. It's kind of hard to describe it. Basically, bedding, and there's a 4-wheeler path involved. But he was sitting there, and actually saw 2 bucks fighting. He described it kind of like they were sparring, but like they were getting after it. It wasn't like, it was October 1st, so they're getting kind of territorial, you know. So then the 2 bucks were fighting, and he shot a really nice one. I mean, it's nice for where you hunt. It's a average buck, but very nice deer. But basically he shot it. he felt good about the shot. We saw the blood trail. There's blood everywhere. Bright red. What you want to see. And we track this deer for. Actually, we track it for like 300 yards into a like thick bedding area, and we jump a deer. And then we're like, oh gosh, because we were getting kind of thin on blood at that point. We just didn't know, so we backed out. We were super worried. It turns out it wasn't him, but we took that precaution anyways. And we kept tracking up, and we were following like pin drops. I mean, on a little brown leaf, you could see like that. You would think it's just like part of the leaf, but that was rough. And then we started walking down this road, and they're like, all right, it's basically this just super thick, thorny bedding area on our right and left, and we're going to start crawling through here, but let's just walk the road that goes through it. And it turned out he had crashed on that road, which we were super thankful for. But yeah, he went like 450 yards or something like that, which is kind of far. But anyways, that was a crazy story, crazy tracking job. Took us all day, but that was a lot of fun. Nice buck. And yeah. All right, and then the rest of October, I was actually able to harvest my first doe with any archery method with the crossbow, so that was kind of fun. But that footage got deleted, which stinks. It was some SD card error, which really stinks. But yeah, I was able to harvest a doe. It was a quick, humane kill. I think she only went like 20 yards or something, so that was nice. First doe harvest with the crossbow. And then at the end of October, our favorite time of year is youth rifle season. Now, this was actually my last youth rifle season, which I was super sad about, but it's where I learned to hunt, where all my sisters, I have 3 younger sisters, where they all learned to hunt, and we go out to our friend's place every year, and it's my favorite weekend of the year, basically. So we went out there. There's 4 of us hunting, opening morning. My sister was able to harvest it was a really peculiar buck, actually. His body was huge. I know it was huge because we'd drag it up this hill that he decided to die on. But basically, his antlers... Oh, it's right here, actually. So, I mean, fairly nice buck, as you can see, but it had this knot on his antler. Like, that's super peculiar. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but super cool deer with a bunch of character. We think it's pretty old because, it's like I said, its body was really big, and that knot was probably something that's pretty old. Yeah, so that was really cool to see her harvest that. Actually, she thought she missed because she was just standing up, but she made a great shot. So that's always fun to share time with family in the woods. And then after that, my 2 younger sisters, one was able to harvest a nice doe on Saturday night, and then my youngest one, her first year hunting, she was able to harvest doe on Sunday morning, which was a lot of fun. She's hooked now. She smile on her face the whole time, so that was really cool. I unfortunately did not get to harvest a deer. I was kind of waiting for a buck, and I was going to shoot a doe, and then it was too late. But yeah, it was a lot of fun youth weekend. So that was like Halloween, October 31st-ish, and that concludes the end of October of deer season. All right, so then we get into November, which was it was an interesting month for us. We liked it. We liked November because, like I said, we only hunt about a 20-acre piece of property, and the likelihood of like catching a buck cruising through that wouldn't normally be on that property is way up. So we were excited going into November. Actually, no deer were harvested during November, sadly. No, actually, that's not true. No bucks were harvested during November, but oh my gosh, super close encounter with the Adelanto. I'll tell you about it. But before that, my dad was hunting for bucks. He had no luck with that. I remember what it was. Opening weekend of rifle season. It was just a downpour lightning storm. We were super excited, so we got up in the tree stand. Daylight broke, and it was downpouring lightning, and we're like 20 feet up a tree in a aluminum tree stand. And we're like, this don't feel right with the lightning. So we got down, and yeah, that weekend's typically pretty good for us. But I was able to harvest another doe with my crossbow during gun season, so that was a lot of fun again. I'll put that film right here. So then after that, I was out with my Adelanto, and then there was one morning where it was weird. I started to do a rattle sequence, try to get a buck to come in, but then after I did like some grunts to see if bucks were in the area, and then I was gonna smash the horns together. But right after I do a couple grunts, like 3 does come, maybe 2 or 3 does come walking out of the bushes. And basically the way my stand is set up, I'm in a climbing stand, and basically they were gonna walk straight below me, but they're like through some brush. So they came out below me and then got to like 4 yards, and I was playing with the Adelato at this point, so I was ready to, harvest anything I had a chance at. And so they were at 4 yards, and then she pegged me, and then basically it was kind of weird. She like flipped her tail and ran off and did a circle, but then was curious. So she came like back toward me, and she stood at like 10 yards and was like, doing one of those things. And sadly, when I went through, she was out of there so fast. Like I went through, and I slowed the film down, and by the time I threw, she was like all the way turned around and gone out of there. So she just flinched on me, but that was a super cool encounter. I put that footage right here. All right, so then after that, I went out one day after school. I believe it was like November 17th ish, pretty prime time of the rut. And I get up in the tree stand. I was kind of late. It was super dry then, so the leaves were like, I felt like a freight train coming in the woods, and I'm kind of close to a bedding area. Same stand that I had the close encounter with the doe I just talked about. But basically, I got up in the stand. I had some stuff fall from the tree. I was kind of messed. Felt like I was allowed, and it was like 3:15 by then. And basically I hear this rustling, and a really nice buck is coming down the trail. I mean, probably pretty similar to that one I showed you to my sisters. We call him like a generic Missouri 8-point. Like just nice buck, second or third year buck. Super nice. He comes walking down the trail, he's just out searching for does. And he comes, and I didn't even have, I don't think I had my camera on, and I didn't have like my Adelato dart even out of my quiver yet. So then I went to get my dart around the tree because he was in like some thick stuff through the front of me, and then I got my dart ready, and he comes to the base of my tree, and he stops at basically like, it's in the film it looks like he's right under me, but he's kind of to the left in some scrub. So I waited for him to step, and as he was walking right under me like 4 yards, I went to throw and just right over his back. I mean, I get the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. But I saw it in the film, basically, it was literally that far from his back. Just, I didn't really practice straight down that much, so that really stunk. That was sad. But then after that, I grunted at him, and he did a circle. I almost got another shot at him, but I didn't. But that was interesting. I'm really sad I didn't get to do that one over again. But that was really cool encounter. So that was like November 17th-ish, and yeah, that stunk, but it was a lot of fun. All right, so after November, we were into December, and it was getting, kind of colder. I was getting almost too cold to hunt with the Adelato because, I mean, it's okay, but like so at some point you're so bulky, it's kind of hard to throw. So I started switching to more crossbow hunting. Was not able to harvest anything early December-ish, and then it was after Christmas. No, I can't. Somewhere around Christmas, I was hunting with the crossbow, and a really nice buck came out of the little creek bottom, and it might have been the same buck actually that I missed with the Adelato. I'm not sure. There's a couple that look kind of like that where we hunt, but he came out, and I was ready to shoot him with the crossbow. He walked through the shooting lane, but it was too fast, and I was getting excited. And I go to stop him because he was kind of moving, and I decided to scream, "Meh," but at the top of my lungs, like, "Meh!" Oh, I was such an idiot. The only thing I saw after that was just a white tail and bounding off. So, really nice buck. He was at like 20, 25 yards. Go to stop him. Oh man, that one stung too. I just didn't have that much luck this year. But yeah, so after that happened, not much more happened in December. Oh, we got a really big buck that started to show up on camera. We had him on camera probably 3 or 4 times. So that was interesting, but not much hunting. We were hammering at school at that point. So, all right, so then we had January. So season's winding down. Season ends January 15th, so it's getting to the end. And I got my driver's license on January 7th, which was a Friday. So then the weekend of the 8th and 9th, I was hunting pretty much all day Saturday. So I went out in the morning, didn't get anything. And then Saturday night, I went to a new stand. It was kind of over on Oak Hill side, and then the neighbor's field was next to it. And I knew bucks kind of used the bedding area behind me in the evening. So I was up there with the crossbow. It was a new setup, hadn't been there before. It was my dad's setup. So I got up there, and it was pretty cold that night. But I jumped 2 does on the way in. I saw them on the other side of the creek, and then this group of 3 bucks comes out from the other side of the creek, and they cross the creek. And I didn't get this one on film, sadly. My GoPro died, and I was an idiot and didn't know that. But so then these bucks come to the other side of the creek, and the first 2 are like little spike bucks, little fork horns first years. So I didn't really want to shoot those. And then the third one was a nice deer. Again, it might have been that same one in this with the Edelado. I'm not sure, but kind of that same class type. So he comes, and I was just so cold, and I had a crossbow, and it was in the wrong spot. But basically, I took a bad shot and missed the deer, and I was done by that point. I was cold and mad that I hadn't been able to do anything right for the whole season. And then so then he like goes and stomps off in the woods, but then I'm up in a tree with an uncocked crossbow, and you got to stand up and pull at the crossbow to cock it, but that was pretty hard to do since I was like all puffed up, and there's a deer in the woods staring at me. So I just didn't do it. I figured he was gonna run off, So then he starts kind of like wandering back a little bit, like, what was that? Because clearly he wanted to be where he was going. So he kind of comes, and then he gets to like 15 yards, and I still had an uncocked crossbow. So then I was just filming at that point. I was just mad. And then I woke up, and there's an even bigger buck, 3 bigger bucks coming in the field behind him. And this is like really big deer. Like, it was big. We had some big ones on camera. It was kind of looking like that. And so he came out, and he starts wandering from the neighbor's field into our tree line. I still have an uncocked crossbow, and now there's 4 bucks staring at me. So that was not good. But what ended up happening was I had to stand up and make a whole bunch of commotion to get the crossbow cocked. And by the time I did that, stuff was falling out of the tree, and the deer ended up running away. Which, oh man, still kicking myself for that. But yeah, that was it. And then after that, we had one more snowy hunt, but it was so cold, nothing really moved. So anyways, that concludes our 2020 through 2021 deer season. So like I said, 11 total deer harvested. So we were super blessed to be able to do that and provide for our family. So anyways, if you guys want to see any of these videos in their full length, go and check out my channel down below. I'll have all the videos from this year lined up. So hope you guys go and watch those videos. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the view, and hopefully I'll see you guys next year's season.